Let's go to Soweto then. The Soweto Cannabis Festival is underway in Orlando, Soweto. The festival aims to educate people about cannabis, health, cultivation, medicinal cannabis, and the industrialisation and economic impact of the cannabis plant in sub-Saharan region. Let's discuss this further then. We're now joined via Zoom by Milton Mabusela, who's from Soweto 710 Cannabis Festival. He's a festival convener. Very warm welcome to you, Milton. Thanks very much for joining us here on SABC News.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. Let's start here. Let's talk about, the main aims of this particular festival. I mean, I think a lot of people think about cannabis and they think, weed, they're thinking into drugs. Well, that's what some people do say. But really, this is more about education around the cannabis plant and the herb itself and the cultivation for medicinal purposes and so forth. What are we learning today and what are you showcasing?
Okay, so the Soweto Cannabis Festival, which celebrates International 710, which is a festival surrounding dabs and also cannabis oil. So we as the youth of Soweto decided to come together and train and develop one another through programs, right, and workshops throughout the weekend. So we had Thursdays program, which was more of an introduction to the cannabis industry. We have THC Africa, and we also got to it 420 Central, and this event is hosted by the youth. Our organization is Matekwania Soweto, so we are trying to educate and really explore the cannabis industry. As you know, the president and also the premier had announced the move towards cannabis industrialization. So we're gathering as the youth and the community, saying, come and unlock cannabis with us throughout South Africa, but starting from the township.
Yeah, I want to talk about, age restrictions and regulations around your festival. And I talk about this on the back of, and you would have seen as widely reported here on SABC News, what's just taken place in East London at Enyobeni Tavern, where young people were allowed to access alcohol. Obviously, we're talking about cannabis and we're talking about cannabis as a plant. But, there are those who would be using it to abuse it in some ways. And, particularly when it comes to the youth. Yeah. So when we're talking about education around cannabis, how are we doing that, but also trying to keep it, away from young people, but also, when you keep something away from young people, that certainly when they start to become more sort of curious about that particular thing. So what is the messaging today and what exactly are you saying? And is there some sort of age restriction?
Of course, there is an age restriction. As you know, cannabis has not developed in our country to a point where there's recreational usage. So what we have done here is that we've divided the festival into the educational side, which is more of a day event. And then we have a designated section, right, where we then display different cannabis products so that we can also reach out to the youth to say that you don't need to just smoke or ingest cannabis. You can use it for skincare. There's actually medicinal benefits to it. And as you know, we are slowly getting into the industry and understanding the laws and also working with authorities. We have the local, the ward councillor of Ward 39, Mr. Lefamudise, who endorsed us, to say, let us come together and train the community, one step at a time. We need to take it from a grassroots level so that we can elevate it and include our people in the cannabis industry. There are over 1,000 byproducts that can be made from the cannabis plant, not just the recreational usage of it. So we are unlocking the commoner who can produce the best products that can be then distributed all around the world. So we're more about education and training, and also training people on packaging. Different types of cannabis and hemp products are being displayed over the weekend. So if everyone wants to come over, as long as you're over the age of 18, you are allowed to come to the Cannabis Festival. As you can see, I've got Mandela's logo here. He is the father of our nation, and he represents peace. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So, when it comes to cannabis, and I'll use the term weed, there's still consequences or punishments for some that are found in possession of it. I mean, if you look at the US, there are strict laws in some states around the possession of weed, where we've seen many black men going to jail for even a small amount of weed on them. Or let me bring it closer to home. There were students, I think 36 Gauteng high school pupils, who were actually suspended after smoking, and there was a video that went viral of them smoking dacha at school. How do we address these issues when we know that on one hand you're saying this is a good medicinal herb. On the other hand, we're hearing that it's almost like it's two different messages. On the other hand, there's this widespread sort of punishment for use and possession of this herb. I mean, how do we really sort of circumvent or navigate between the two issues?
Look, what we are trying to do here is to educate the people, and also not just the people. I mean, we've had people, members of the SAPS coming through and also checking out what we are doing, where we had to explain to them, that through education and development, but taking our people step by step, we are able to reach a point where people know the responsible use of the cannabis plant. With what is happening all around the country and isolated incidences, rather we train and develop our people so that they can understand that there is a limit, for example, to carrying cannabis, and also we are trying to shift that mentality of people just using it for recreational use. So we are saying you can create.
All right, we seem to have lost that signal with Milton, but I think we did indeed get across what needs to be communicated there. Milton Mabusela, Soweto 710 Cannabis Festival, convener, of course, that festival in Soweto, aiming to educate people about cannabis health, cultivation and medicinal cannabis, as he was speaking about today. It's currently taking place in Orlando, in Soweto.